Well, Pete, so it looks like we're going to have a little less maintenance on our courses in the future.
Well, I have to change. It all changes, and then I think it changed to get to this point, and it'll change again. Maybe it'll go back the other way.
You think it'll ever come to a point that they decelerate the balls for the pros?
Well, I always maintained that nobody was any stronger than Arnold Palmer when he was 25 or 30 years of age, and the same with Jack. He was strong, and he could hit it a mile, and the ball would go 265 yards. And down today, the new equipment is such that if Jack had had it then, he would hit the ball farther. Or the clubs and everything else has escalated the length that people can hit the golf ball. And I can't think of the manufacturers. They said, here, all the golf pros on the tour, they give them balls. They give them those golf balls. And Mary Jones, who plays the game and she hits the ball 120 or 130 yards, she has to buy it. So if they would come up with a golf ball where Mary Jones, who hits it 130, can hit it 150, or the senior player who hits it 175 to 180 could hit it 190, they'd sell more golf balls. And then they, at the same time, get the golf ball back to where the good pros out there are carrying it like Jack did, maybe 250, 60, 70 yards. And what also hurts the game a little, in my opinion, that see, the pros, when they hit it 300 yards, they got somewhat control on it. But then here comes a fellow that's works in the insurance business, or he's a real estate man, or he works in the steel mill, a young fellow. He can swing the club just as fast as Tiger or any of the great players out there. But he doesn't really know where it's going. But he can hit it 330 yards. And this creates a liability because all the old golf courses were built and the ball went carried only 200 to 230, 40 yards. Then you could design it to work. But now here comes a guy who can hit it 320 yards. Anybody hits it right or left. So it's created a liability. And I think someday it'll have to make a change to get back, because so many golf courses were built with never the idea of anybody hitting the ball 330 yards. So I think they'll have to change, and I think they have the knowledge, the engineering knowledge, that they can make Mary Smith's ball go 15 or 20 yards farther, and a senior citizen that hits it 170, 175, get him up to 190 or 200 yards, they'll sell more golf balls. And when they figure out they can sell more golf balls rather than give them away to the pros, I think the manufacturers will make a change. And then it'll have to come from the authority of the United States Golf Association. They're talking about reducing the grooves on the club. That is not going to change the game or the pros or anything. I don't think they're not going to change that. They just go out there and chop it out. They'll figure out a way. But what they have to do is do everything to get the lady golfer that hits 120 or 30, 40 yards, or senior citizen, to make that work a little better. They can make them work better. Now the club does help the senior citizen, but somehow or another, because you're helping them, you don't have to help these great players that are on the PGA Tour. They're great players, and for them to stand there and just whack away with a driver and then hit a wedge to the green, they've taken away a lot of the game of golf. And a lot of the game of golf used to be when, in the 1950s and 60s, the grass on the greens, you could let it grow a little longer and you could have more contour, and you had green on the green. You had to be able to play that. That affected the better player, but it doesn't affect the Joe Q public. And then, the fact the guy can hit a driver and a short iron, you've taken away the shot that was used to be so great when, like the picture of Hogan hitting that long iron at Marion. They've taken that golf shot away from these great players. And I think that hurts the game, in my opinion, that is. Then not to make them be able to have to hit a 3 or 4 iron to a par 4. The only time they ever hit a 3 or 4 iron to a par 4 is when they lag off with a 3 iron on the tee. But I think a lot of the golf courses are gotten so that where the good player doesn't even have to hit a driver on the tee. Let's take one of the great clubs away from him. And then when they get out there, there's no 3 iron shot to a par 4. They have maybe a 3 or 4 iron shot or a 5 iron shot to a par 5. But then if he misses the green, he still can get up and down and gets a par. But when you're standing back there, I'd have to hit a 3-iron to a par 4, and if you miss it, you bogey the hole. It makes a lot more pressure. It's changed the game a lot. But someday I think it'll all come back to the way it was, because the game is so great, and we got to get the cost down so that people can play golf and not give the balls to the great professionals. Make Mary Smith and the senior player and the kids, well, they can get a golf ball and play golf.